Okay, so hello everyone, and yeah, welcome to the joint webinar of Overland-Tandberg and PoINT. Today's topic is tape needs S3, and we will look at the use case of how to protect your object storage. Before we start, I would like to welcome Natalie Kremer from Overland-Tandberg. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. Thanks for joining and having a look into our webinar. So I'm happy to join in here with PoINT. My name is Natalie Kremer. I'm responsible as Business Development Manager for storage products at Overland-Tandberg, namely tape libraries and drives, but also upcoming new storage products that we will launch later on this year. And I'm happy to assist in any case for any questions on tape libraries. And I will present some short information afterwards. And now I hand over again to Manfred.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, my name is Manfred Rosendahl, and yeah, I'm responsible for pre-sales at PoINT. And yeah, I would like to start with some information about our company. So PoINT is an independent software vendor in terms of independence from the storage vendors for data and storage management solutions. The company was founded in 1994, and our entire team, the product development, the support, sales, and pre-sales, we're all located in Germany, in Siegen. And we have a lot of small customers who manage a few terabytes with our software solution, but also very large customers with several petabytes. And we have a worldwide reseller network, and we work closely with the major storage vendors. And in the tape area, our focus partner is Overland-Tandberg. When we look at how object storage has evolved, it is very interesting to see how workloads have changed. Basically, we can distinguish between traditional and modern use cases. Already the first object storage systems many years ago were used for archiving and compliance use cases. Another traditional workload is to store backup data on object storage. And modern workloads, on the other hand, use more capabilities of object storage. For example, they enrich the data with additional metadata and cloud native by design. So this evolution shows that object storage has evolved from a secondary storage to primary storage. This means that object storage is the primary data store for core or tier 1 applications. And then, of course, you have to ask the question, how secure is object storage? When you have a look at object storage vendors, they highlight the availability. In the technical specs, you will read percentage representing the system uptime, for example, something like 99.999%. On the one hand, there are hardware-related data loss scenarios like disk failures, node failures, or even site failures. And all these failures can be covered by erasure coding or replication to different sites. But on the other hand, there could be software errors, malicious deletion, or ransomware. And most people think ransomware only attacks file systems, but this is just a matter of time until attacks on object storage increase. And we know there are concepts how to attack an object store. And to be honest, it is easy because the encryption option is already built into the object store. And then there's, of course, a human factor, for example, the IT administrator who has misconfigured an S3 bucket. Yeah. And you will find a lot of cases about this in the press. And to protect against these scenarios, you need a backup of your object storage. But the question is how to do that. So let us take a look at what techniques are available to protect object storage. First of all, in general, it is of course important to monitor a system to reduce the risk and extent of the damage. The permissions on a bucket must be limited to a minimum by using access list and user roles. Then, of course, you can encrypt the data transfer, but also the data storage itself. And again, by using replication or erasure coding, these techniques should be used to protect against hardware failures. Then we have S3 versioning, which can be very helpful, but this is only a weak protection because just as you can delete the current version of an object, you can also delete old versions. And then, multi-factor authentication it is very good, yes, but it is only supported by a few providers, and the question is how to use it in your specific use case. But if it is possible, then you should definitely use this option here. Then S3 object lock, is also an excellent protection. It works with a retention period. That means during the retention period, you cannot delete the data. This is, for example, great for archiving, but when a core application uses object storage as a primary storage, it is very difficult to define a retention period. It will be either too short or too long, so limited use cases. And finally on this list of the item of backing up the object store. So I don't mean backing up your backup, but if tier 1 application uses the object store as a primary storage, then you need a backup of your object storage. But how can you do this? So if you want to back up an S3 object storage, there are several requirements. The method, of course, should be fast and frequent, so it must have a low RPO. It must be able to handle large amounts of data, and therefore it must use some kind of incremental backup or near CDP. The restore, of course, must be fast. It should offer a single item restore and also a direct access to the backup data would be good. And then the actual backup target must be cost effective per gigabyte. It must scale in performance and capacity, and it should provide some kind of awareness for S3 objects to back up all metadata or S3 tags as well. And then, of course, the topic of air gap is very important, and the energy efficiency. This leads me to our solution. The PoINT Archival Gateway is basically object storage with all the benefits like erasure coding, scalability, high availability, but the Archival Gateway stores data on tape instead of hard disks. As a result, the storage becomes very economical and perfect for long-term retention. You could also call it a secondary object storage or an additional S3 storage class for infrequently accessed data. So similar to what the hyperscalers like AWS do, the PoINT Archival Gateway allows you to offer different S3 storage classes. Because the Archival Gateway provides a native S3 API, you don't have to adapt your software, and it is compatible to the AWS S3, including versioning, without any proprietary commands. Although the approach and in terms of the price, it is comparable to the AWS Glacier, we do not use the Glacier API, so you do not have to do a restore before you can read an object. Yeah. And the gateway supports LTO generation 5 to generation 9 and the IBM TS 1150 to 1160 drives as well. By adding nodes to the archival gateway, it scales in performance, and it is high available at the same time. We have one node type which is responsible for the actual data transfer from S3 to tape, and one type is responsible for the entire management. Yeah. And when we write to tape, we use erasure coding, and we support different settings like 1+1, which is a mirroring, or 3+1 to improve performance. And based on the numbers here, you can see how powerful the solution is and how it scales. We support up to 8 libraries in parallel and up to 256 drives. But yeah, this is only a theoretical limit, and we can extend on request. So currently you can achieve a maximum throughput of 230 gigabyte per second. But I think more important is, in terms of performance, is that we are able to fully utilize the native speed of a tape drive under optimal conditions. So for example, we can write with 360 megabytes per second to an LTO 8 drive. You know? And when you use multiple libraries, they can be in the same site or in different locations, and then you can configure cross-location mirroring or use erasure coding. I will explain these items again on the live demo, but let me use this graphic to explain the architecture. So starting at the bottom, we call a tape library internally archival storage device. We do not need an entire library for a solution, but a separate library partition with dedicated drives and slots. And then in the next layer, we have the actual cartridges, the tapes, which we call archival storage volume, and a protected volume array, or PVA, is a set of tapes depending on the erasure code rate. It consists of 1 to 4 tapes. And we take multiple PVAs to create a partition, which is just a logical unit in our software. And then we can create S3 buckets in that partition. When you define your erasure code rate for a partition, the allocation is not limited to one library, but we can take multiple libraries to distribute the erasure code segments to different libraries. Okay. And then, to go back, to get back to the actual topic of how to back up an object store, there are different approaches. Here on the left, we have the disk-based object storage systems, and on the right, the PoINT Archival Gateway. One approach is the so-called cross-region replication, which is a function of many primary object storage. And once enabled, all new objects are automatically replicated asynchronously to the PoINT Archival Gateway. Because of the native S3 API, and you can simply use an S3 browser or the AWS command line tools and restore individual objects from tape if necessary. And more powerful is the solution for data replicator, which provides an S3 to S3 replication. The standard option works with any S3 object store, and it checks for new objects at regular intervals and then transfer them to tape. However, with S3, there is the basic challenge that listing objects takes very long above a certain number of objects. For example, if you have billions of objects. In this case, we recommend to use the advanced option on the PoINT data replicator, which works by using the bucket notification. Now, this means the data replicator is informed about new objects, which it then copies to tape. So this is a smart approach, but it depends on the primary object store, whether it is it supports notifications. And currently we support this with Kafka, which is, for example, used by IBM cost systems and Scality. And we support SQS as well, which is used by Claudia. Okay, and here you can see the workload of the notification. In this case, with a Kafka server that handles the notification. Besides the backup use case, we have several customers. We use the Archival Gateway for tiering from an existing disk-based storage like StorageGrid or Claudia and Hyperstore. And this way you can offload inactive data or inactive objects to an extreme inexpensive storage technology and optimize the cost. For tiering, we use the existing features like ILM, the information lifecycle management, and then we register the PoINT Archival Gateway as a target, and then define rules to move objects, older objects, to tape. And because we have a native S3 API, you can in principle use the Archival Gateway with any S3 client. Okay, and then I would like to hand over to Natalie Kremer.
Yes, thanks, Manfred. So just a few words about Overland-Tandberg and our tape solutions that you might use together with the PoINT Archival Gateway. So who we are at Overland-Tandberg, we have 40 plus years experience and are doing our businesses within 100 plus countries, serving governments, corporations, and customers of nearly all kinds, with over 5 million products shipped per year. So what is important for you to know, whether you have another facilities in the whole wide world. So we are also there. We have several strategic hubs. We have our own factory in China when it comes to RDX products, which is a different product line. But we have salespeople and also support and pre-sales people around the world, with our headquarters in San Ramon in California, USA, and a strategic hub, especially here in Germany, in Dortmund, with a warehouse and support people and all the information you might need from us. When it comes to industry partners, PoINT is, when it comes to S3 object storage solutions, number one. But we are working with a lot of other partners, as you can see here, no matter what operating systems you are using or whatever cloud infrastructure is at your aims, we are here, and our products are registered there or qualified there, and you can rely on our good cooperation with all those most important industry partners around storage. But who are the customers we are serving today? So anyone, to cut it short. You see here in these icons, so when it comes to automotive or telecom, going through broadcast and media for sure, and the retail and e-tail business, any kind of education, they all use removable media, especially tape libraries, when it comes to store a lot of unstructured data or storing bigger backups that exceeded the volume or the available volumes and capacities of hard drive storage. So here are just some examples of customers, namely global customers we are serving, and we are doing businesses with like a lot of companies in the automotive, but also in government and education, ranging from military divisions going over universities, and then for sure also financial services. There are a lot of banks, a lot of insurance companies rely on our products. So what is our tape automation portfolio looks like at the moment? So we're going from 1U with a simple storage loader over a 2U solution up to 6U. Especially the Neo XL models, they can be expanded by different by additional expansion units. So you can have up to 6 drives in a Neo XL80 per module. And as you can see in the picture on the right side, you can put 6 expansion units as addition. And so you can get up to 36 drives in one library. What is important for you to remember is that we are not delivering a whole rack solution, but we believe in the philosophy pay as you grow. So you just add an expansion whenever you need it or whenever your customers need it, and you are not forced to buy a special rack from our company, which is maybe useless for other rack mount devices you might also have to store. Yeah, thanks a lot for this presentation, Manfred. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Natalie. Yeah, let me now switch to my live demo. Just a moment. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, it works fine.
So I'm going to use our emulator version of the PoINT Archival Gateway. Here I have virtual unlimited tapes. So, but the emulator version it emulates the tape library just for demo purposes. But yeah, please keep in mind the emulator doesn't reflect the latency of a tape library, so some processes may be faster than it would be for the physical library. The administration of the Archival Gateway is web-based. So let me log in here. We have a nice dashboard, so you get an overview about your configuration and a status if everything is fine. As we can see here, there's one library connected with 6 drives and a second library with 4 drives. And yeah, we have a single node system containing the database service and the S3 interface service. We call this kind of setup compact edition. So this is what CGN means. But to scale, we can also split the interface service from the database service. And the interface component serves the S3 requests, and that's the read-write operations to tape. And the database component is responsible for the administration, the internal database, and the robotic library robotic control as well. So let me move to the user management here. Here you can create users which can be local or based on your Active Directory or any other LDAP-based directory service. To be able to select accounts from your Active Directory, you have to join the underlying Windows operating system to your Active Directory. The administration is role-based, so you can select predefined roles like system manager, partition manager, and so on. And for each account, you can enable the S3 access. And yeah, when you enable it, it will create an access key and the secret, which will be shown only once. If you lose this secret, you can only create a new one. The current one will become invalid. Yeah, here are some important security features like auditing, very extensive audit log, and yeah, here you can define login timeouts and so on. The next important step is to create a so-called partition. Yeah. So a partition, again, is a logical unit, and it consists of one or more protected volume arrays, which depends on the chosen erasure code weight. So first of all, I enter a name here. And now we can select the erasure code rate and how media is allocated from your libraries. In case you have multiple libraries connected, you can enforce high availability. Now this option here. For example, when you have erasure code set of 1+1 or 1,2, and you have 2 libraries at different sites, of the media is allocated from different sites to achieve high availability. So let me select this setting here, 1,2, and enable the high availability option to mirror data to different libraries. PRG will automatically choose 2 empty tapes from all these 2 libraries and create the first protected volume array. Yeah. Once the tapes are full, PRG will then automatically create a next protected volume array and so on. And this way, it will expand the partition. Okay, so let me apply this setting here. And finally, we create an object repository or an S3 bucket. Yeah, you can use the graphical interface or an S3 client to create a bucket. Okay, and yeah, important to know is you can have multiple buckets within the same petition, or you can create to have a physical separation between your buckets. You can create dedicated petitions for each bucket depending on your requirements. So in the bucket properties, you can set a quota and enable retention management or S3 object lock, versioning, and finally there are the permissions, owner and permission settings. Okay, so let us apply these default settings. And yeah, now we can connect with an S3 client. I have already entered the access and secret keys. And yeah, now we can, let me do a refresh. And now we can see the new created bucket. And we are able to upload some files. So let me select these. The files are uploaded. Okay, now we can see the results on the device management. So here in this section, we can see the two libraries again, and we can see here library 1 when I show you the media for a new bucket here. This one here, the specific tape was used, and in the library 2 we have a different tape. This one here, yeah, and then a different other way to see which tapes are used for a new petition. We can go back to the petition and watch the protected volume arrays, and here we can see it. So the first two tapes has been allocated and formatted, one from tape library 2 and one from tape library 1. Yeah, so the data is mirrored to two tapes. Okay, and this yeah brings me to the end of my demo, and yeah, I would like to thank you all for joining our webcast webinar, and I wish you a nice day.
Thank you and bye-bye.